a great screen so far. We're nice and dark here. There we go.
We're live. We're live.
I've got some echo. Can I ask you to take me down just a notch or two, please? Thank you. Well, welcome everyone, studio audience, and those watching from Candyland or wherever it is that they're
TV Land.
TV Land, yeah,
TV Land.
TV
Yes,
Land.
yes.
So, yeah, you know, it's a little weird, Lisa. I didn't come to the last church show, so it feels like it's been forever since I've been on.
It's been 2 months for you.
I know.
Yes,
right?
yes.
I know.
Yep.
And we have some exciting.
We have very special guests on today.
Yes.
John Scroggins.
John, raise your hand, just so everybody knows who you are, John.
And Jim Burke.
Jim, very good, guys.
Welcome.
Good job.
Yes,
Good
and
job.
they have some exciting news for our community.
Yes.
For the Bird Club.
Jim, is that right? You want to share some?
I do, Tom. I'm here to represent the North American Bluebird Society. And it's short name, NABS, so that's how we'll talk about it for a while here. But NABS was founded in 1978 because a bunch of folks across the US and Canada for several decades have been recording data on bluebird nest boxes. And they determined that between the 1920s and the early 70s, about 90% of the bluebird population was gone.
Oh, wow.
So they formed NABS to educate the general public on how important it was to put up nest boxes. And that's how it got started. Today, NABS has 61 affiliates across the US, Canada, and there's actually an affiliate in Bermuda. Now, nobody knows how the bluebirds got to Bermuda, but
I check those boxes, John.
yeah, I volunteered to do it.
Yeah, we got a couple volunteers to check the boxes.
Yeah. It's interesting to be here today because I served 14 years on the NABS board, 9 years as an officer. And I retired from that. We took my gigantic 401k and came here.
And now it's gone, right?
So anyway, believe it or not, that organization is run all by unpaid volunteers.
Wow.
And there's about 19 or 20 board members, and they live as far east as Connecticut to as far west as British Columbia. And that's how they run that organization. But they've got these 61 affiliates all across North America. So a lot of people out there doing what the Bird Club here does under the great leadership of John Scroggins here. Anyway, every year they put out a notice to people submit awards. They have a number of awards that individuals can get. They have a number of awards for organizations. And so I thought, you know, now that I'm not on the board, I think I'm going to put the River Landing Bird Club in for an award because it can't be a conflict of interest of me being a board member. Maybe somebody would challenge that. So anyway, I submitted this award last year. This is for 2024. A couple of months ago, I got a phone call from the president of NABS, and she said, I just wanted to let you know that the River Landing Bird Club is receiving 2 awards. And I said, well, that's interesting. I only submitted 1. I said, who submitted the other one? And she said, well, as you know, we have a special award called the President's Award that any board member or the board in total can award to an individual or an organization for their special efforts for bluebirds. And after we read your recommendation, we saw in that how much that your bird club does for the residents of River Landing, and that you include everybody. They don't have to be a member of the bird club. It can be any resident, staff member. They can all participate in the many activities that you guys do down there. Now, when I started working on that, the outline for the recommendation, I noticed they said keep it to one type page. But it didn't say anything about attachments.
Oh,
So I actually ended up sending 12 attachments to the one page. But I was able to digitize everything, and it made it easy for them to get those things distributed. But I had all sorts of good information in there, not the least of which, of course, was all the data since 2018 of the data on the birds that we had fledged here. But then I also had copies of the club activity announcements that Sam Leitner puts together. And, they end up in your box, they end up on 1390, they end up in our 2 community newsletters. So I guess that kind of impressed them, that how we include the entire community. So I think with that, I can wrap this up. And I should apologize if my throat sounds funny. Last Thursday, I was lying on the operating table, and right before the surgeon cut a 9-inch gash up my left thigh, a nurse leaned in and she said, "You're about to go to sleep, and once you're asleep, we're going to stuff a breathing tube down your throat, and your voice is going to sound funny for a while after that." So anyway, that's my excuse for sounding like I'm in a hollow somewhere. So John, and this guy has done a fantastic job of leading a great board. We got some great people on the board and people that work hard. And Tom, I think the club will be looking for a donation somewhere down the road here. What do you think?
Sure.
Not that I'm putting you on the spot, okay? I'm gonna see if I can hold this. John, this is,
I want to say something first, Jim.
okay.
I was going to say quite a few things, but you went on, so I don't really have much to cover. But we, because of Jim Burke and several other very talented people and dedicated residents, we started a bird club in 2018. And we started it out with about 25 people, and today we have 137 in our bird club.
wow.
We have a wonderful board. Thank you for them. We have a wonderful board. Jim mentioned some of their names, and they're very dedicated. They work hard. It's easy work, but they make sure everything's exactly right. And Jim has been responsible in looking over our shoulders since 2018 when we got started, and he's done a great job of that. And now I think we'll both stop talking and do these awards.
Well, or we could just keep talking, John.
Yeah. It's okay with me. I find this very interesting, so it's great.
Okay. Let's see if I can. Okay.
Come up here, Hilda.
I want to. Okay.
Okay, 1 second. You sure? Okay.
This first one is North American Bluebird Society Bluebird Conservation Award. It's presented to the River Landing Bird Club in grateful recognition for successfully providing nesting opportunities to native cavity birds, including bluebirds, 2024.
Thank you, Jim.
Wow.
And the second award is the NABS President's Award, presented to River Landing Bird Club in grateful recognition for their efforts in providing education and hands-on nest box monitoring opportunities for their community's residents. John,
Wow.
good job, my man.
We're out of here.
Okay. Take your awards and run.
Thank you guys very much. That is really exciting, really exciting.
Just take your time.
Don, I know I had just asked you about this, but I think you had a group come up from Glen Eyre yesterday, right? That was,
We did.
yeah.
We had a dozen people come from Glen Eyre, and we had them for
John.
that the staff paid for. And thank you. And I had lunch with them and talked about nothing but the Bluebird Club for about 45 minutes. They were very gracious. They had some great questions. Glen Eyre has about the same population as we have here. And then after lunch, which they all said was a very good lunch, and we were happy about that. After lunch, Scooter had half a dozen golf carts ready, and I took the 12 of them out on the Bluebird Trail for about 35 minutes and showed them some active nest boxes, and they really enjoyed it, took lots of pictures, had some nice comments, and it was a good group, and we had a really good time.
That's great. Thank you, John.
great.
Appreciate you sharing that. There's a meeting tomorrow, John. Yep.
Okay.
John's not quite done yet, for
Okay.
those out in the studio audience.
Sam Leitner's already told me about 4 times to mention that we do have a bird club meeting tomorrow, right in here. That's Thursday at 3 o'clock, and we've got a great presentation lined up for that. And if you show up in the NPR, there will be door prizes.
Oh,
All right.
we like door prizes.
Door prizes. All right.
And I don't know if John knows this, but Glen Eyre has posted this all over their Facebook as well. So you're out there, John, for hosting a great event on Monday. Yes,
That's awesome. That's a great award. 2 great awards. So.
absolutely.
You know, Lisa, before we get into everything else, I'm a big Bluebird fan. In fact, I have a Bluebird box at my house. I've had it for a long time, and I've had several nests in there, and it's always fun to watch the birds flying in and out of there. I never seem to catch them right when the new birds are flying out of there, and I've always hoped that it's not the neighborhood cat that catches the birds before they fly out of there. But it's a lot of fun to watch the bluebirds, and they're beautiful birds.
They
as we
are.
know.
They
So-
are.
So thank you
Yes.
all for doing that. John, thank you so much for having such a great club, and Jim, thank you for nominating us for that award. I think that's fantastic and well-deserved, so thank you
Yep.
very much.
Very good. Very good.
So, all right, trivia
Okay,
question, right?
trivia today. Bottle of wine. What kind
Yeah.
of wine is it, Tom?
You know what, I don't have Ken's flair for
I
this.
know,
Let's
I
see.
know.
I think that's a Pinot Noir, so I'm not a wine drinker either, so, but it's a good one, though. It's a good year. It's 2019. It's right before COVID, so this ought to be really good wine, I think, so.
Oh. Okay, so if you know the answer to the question, call Michelle at 336-389-4103, and anybody here in the audience as well as TV land. The question is, Raleigh, North Carolina was the birthplace for what 17th president of the United States? And make sure, call in 336-389-4103. Raleigh, North Carolina was the birthplace for what 17th president of the United States?
17th president.
Yes.
Yeah. I wasn't around for that. Was anybody else around for that? Yeah, no, I wouldn't think so.
And the phone line is open, and Michelle is waiting for an answer.
We're waiting for a call.
Oh.
All right. while
Okay,
she's
we have
waiting.
lots of updates, Tom.
We have lots of
We have
updates,
lots of
y'all.
updates,
Got a lot
yes.
of things to talk to you about. You're going to love most of them, probably hate a few of them. I don't know. I haven't even looked at them yet, so we'll see. But,
Oh,
where
okay.
do we start, Lisa?
We're going to start with the main building front entrance landscaping.
Oh, yeah.
Woohoo! We love it, right? Yes, yes. Okay, we hear that.
I love the water features already. You all been seeing some of the water features? that
They've
have
been testing them and all that
Ooh,
today
loving
too.
it.
So
Especially
it's-
the copper pot, I guess it is. That's
yes,
flowing. Oh,
yes.
Loving it.
Yep. And then the water coming out of the waterfall on the sides
If
of
you
the
haven't
building.
noticed, I like water features, so I think it's.
We
good.
like our water
Yeah,
features
we do
here.
like our water
Yes.
features here, so.
They're calming. There's something about a water feature.
Yeah, there is.
Yes, very soothing. So communication is in your in-house mailboxes. If you've not gotten that yet, it's also on Care Merge, because the big day is coming. Next Tuesday, day after Memorial Day, we are closing the front entrance.
What?
So we've been warning, it's coming.
Oh, the
The
front
time
entrance
is here.
gonna close.
Yes, into the main building, the front entrance to the main building. But the 2 side doors, which a lot of you use already, the one side door comes into the Harbortown and Pinehurst side, and the other side door over by the library goes into Durrell and Carnoustie side. Those, they're going to maintain open for us. So residents, of course, can use those because those are all badge access. And the one side door that leads into the Harbortown and the Pinehurst side, that will be our new visitor entrance for the short time that we do have to have it closed. And when I say short time, it is probably going to be through the month of June. We expect this to be a closure. It's a big project out there, redoing all the sidewalks leading up to the front entrance, the sliding doors, the grassy area where our flags are, under the porte-cochere area. So it's a big project
Yeah, it's huge.
that is going to be going on. So we do anticipate through the month of June.
And if the weather's good, it may get done a little sooner than
Sure,
that, but
sure.
we're
But weather
trying
could
to-
also be rainy,
We're trying to
too.
be conservative, yeah, we're trying to be
Right,
conservative as
right.
far as
We
time
just don't know.
Yeah.
So, as visitors come in through our gatehouse area, they will direct them to that entrance. We're also gonna have some signage up, so you'll see visitor signs pointing them to that door. We will have a public safety member stationed at that door as well, that will be greeting people from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. So that's when visitors will be coming through there. If you have a visitor coming to your home, you live in the main building and want to direct them to another door and you meet them there, that's up to you. But that is where we're calling officially our visitor entrance for this point. We have had one question, Tom, about the new landscaping area. Will there be seating on the patios in the landscaped area?
No, we're not gonna do that, because it costs us too much to do this, and I don't wanna mess it up with seating, so. Of course, we're gonna have seating there, so, yes.
We've had some concern with
It's kind of been a
that.
little bit of a joke of ours,
It
you
has.
know,
We've
that it's
we've
like,
had some
of course we're gonna
concern.
put seating over
We
there. I
are,
mean,
we
the
are.
idea is for residents to use that area, and so.
There'll be some
know,
nice seating
I think
areas
people
out
got
there.
confused, because I was talking about the area, and I said that there was gonna be some half walls there where people could sit.
There is,
And I think
yes.
people thought that, oh, we're not gonna have any kind of seating out there.
Right, right.
Yes, we're gonna have seating
Right.
out there, so.
But those little sitting walls will be nice for folks to be able to sit
Yeah,
on too if
if
they
they
want
want
to.
to.
Yes, but there will be,
Great for bluebirds to sit on if they want to while they're waiting, you know,
Okay.
perfect, right? They better not, is that what somebody said?
Oh. So if anybody has questions about the landscaping projects, just let us know, but communication is out there, so hopefully you've seen that now. Pavilion behind the main building here.
Yeah, we're moving along with that. We're just hiring a civil engineer to help us with the actual location, and we've got a pavilion committee meeting coming up here. It's not next week. I think
First week of June.
First week of June, yeah, that's right.
Yep, so that's coming up.
Keep going on with that. Our architect's working on some design work for that, and so pretty excited about that. I think it's going to be really great to have that pavilion out there, and so more details on that. And as we get up some visuals of what that might look like, we'll make sure we share them on 1390.
Yes,
I'm sorry.
and
yeah,
Care Merge.
Care Merge, right, 1390.
Absolutely.
So,
Okay, another big project we have, the apartment mailboxes that we've been talking about. That is for folks that live here in the main building.
Yep.
So not Aberdeen and Turnberry. This is for the main building here. That includes Glen Eagles as well. So next Monday, it's Memorial Day, so we don't have mail that day. We are gonna pull out the old boxes, put those in the little small card room right next to the in-house mailbox area. We're gonna set up a temporary mail room there for folks that live up here in the main building. That communication also is in your box and on Care Merge to look at that. And then throughout the week, our goal is to have that completed and have the new boxes in and operational by the end of the week. That's our goal. So once Kevin gets in there and hopefully everything goes as planned and the boxes are here, everything's ready to go in, but we just need to make that happen. The area will be changed up a little because of this. These are now front-loading mailboxes, which means Tony will not be back in a room putting your mail in. So these are boxes that open from the front, so he will be more exposed out there. So with the United States Postal Service, we do have to provide a secure area for him so he's uninterrupted during mail time, because we all know we want you to have the right mail. So he will be putting up a partition while he's here, putting the mail in your boxes. So when you see that up, please let Tony do his job, and when he's done, he'll take those partitions down. So that'll be the new process that starts, but we're all looking forward to the changes and new
So-
boxes and,
are you saying that once the partition comes down and Tony is now down in sight, that's a time for residents to jump on it, right? And
Well,
talk to them about questions and
he
everything they might have?
probably would say no.
Oh, he probably would?
He probably would say that.
Okay.
But please, when he has the partition up, if we can let him be uninterrupted so he can get his mail done, that'd be great, so.
Tony's been our mailman for a
Long time, yep,
I think
absolutely.
his son's still here, if
He
I'm
is,
not mistaken.
just saw him today, Yep. His son is Nick. He works at the clubhouse and sometimes down here in the bistro too.
Yeah.
So, okay. So not only has the Bird Club just received
Yeah.
some awards,
Yeah.
but our organization,
Yeah.
Kentura, River Landing, and Wellspring have also received awards.
We have, yeah. So for Leading Age North Carolina, which is, basically our trade association that we belong to, we had several nominations that went in for the Contour group. And so, River Landing received an award, which was great. Wellspring got 2 different awards. And then Mark Collins, who's our VP of Human Resources for Contour, also received an award. So, I don't know, did you, Mark?
I did.
List them here? Why don't you list what they
Okay,
are? real
so ours, which is right there on the corner of Tom's desk, Excellence in Community Service. So that's related to our longstanding partnership with Children's Home Society. You all know at Christmas time and also throughout the year, we do different events with them. So that was related to that. We've been working with them, I believe, since 2017.
Yeah,
So-
just a quick little story about that. The reason we have Betsy here as our marketing and salesperson is through Children's Home Society. That was how we first met her, was actually starting our conversations with Children's Home Society and wanted to try and partner up. She was the first one that we actually got in contact with. So it's kind of neat how that's come full circle for her, and now she works here.
Right, right.
It's pretty neat.
Yep, absolutely. And then for Mark Collins, his was Excellence in Leadership, and his career spanning more than 44 years in HR, and including 12 of those years with us at Kentura.
Yeah.
So he
Mark-
received that
Mark does a
award.
great job for us.
Yes.
Very
And then Wellspring, they received their award for their theater series that they have, as well as one of their staff members that had been with them for several years received a Service and Excellence Award.
Yeah, and just so you know, this conference that we go to, Leading Age North Carolina we have about, if I remember right, we have about 65 continuing care retirement communities in the state of North Carolina. And so almost all of these retirement communities are part of this association. So it's a chance for us to go and meet folks that are in the business like us at other communities. And they do educational sessions, which are very good. Although I have to tell you, and I'm not trying to brag at all, I promise, but it's kind of neat to be able to go now. In some ways, we don't pick up a whole lot of nuggets about what other communities are doing, because we are doing most of the things that they're talking about doing, and it's pretty neat to kind of feel like we're kind of the pioneer. We could almost be teaching some of the classes
Right,
that they're doing,
right.
as a matter of fact. So it's pretty neat to be able to go to that. But we do come back with a couple nuggets from that. That's really good. So
Absolutely.
it's a good chance to be able to go and, like I said, just have a chance to talk with other folks about best practices and some of the things that they're doing.
Okay, the next update,
Uh-oh.
Shepherd's Way.
Shepherd's Way.
A lot of people are here waiting for that one.
Is that right?
Yes.
How many here just came today because you wanted to hear what was going to happen with Shepherd's Way? Lisa, I think you lied to me, Lisa. I don't think any of them came here just to hear about that.
Oh,
So.
I had someone call me before the show and said, please talk about Shepherd's Way. And I said, it's on the agenda.
Okay. Yeah, so the short news on it is that Shepherd's Way is not going to move up to the MSO building. So for various reasons, I've talked about Tim Webster, who's our co-CEO, and I've also talked with Todd Lassiter, who is the owner and main operator for Shepherd's Way. And I'm just going to put it this way. I think after talking to Todd, what I saw as the biggest challenge was the building wasn't really built for a daycare. And so the amount of money and effort that would have to be put into retrofit an existing building for their purposes just wasn't worth the investment that they would have to make to it. So, Todd said, if you sell me a piece of land and you let me build a building on it, then I could probably do that for a lot cheaper than trying to buy the building and retrofit it. And so it just didn't work out. I can tell you that both sides tried to the utmost to make it work. But, once he kind of explained that situation, I kind of realized he's right. Because, if you think about the child daycare, even our bathrooms, our toilets, we have adult-sized toilets, right? Well, they have the little teeny tiny ones for the youth. So, just retrofitting all of that in the sinks and just trying to make the classrooms all work. And there's a lot of regulation. We think we have a lot of regulation, which we do on the healthcare center side here. The daycare side has a tremendous amount of daycare regulation by the state that they have to follow. So, once him and I had a real good conversation about it, we just realized, I get it, that as much as he wanted to buy that building, it just didn't quite make sense in the long run when he sat down and talked about it with his CPA. So anyway, so we're now, I think, and this just happened. So, talking to Tim a little bit, I think there's still some question about now, what do we do with the building? Do we find use for it from maybe a combined River Landing way and a management service office way in some way, or do we go ahead and try and sell it to somebody else? And so I think the answer to that is we don't know yet. I think we're still talking about ideas on how we might be able to do that and make that work. So maybe next month when we come here, I'll have a better idea kind of which way we're heading with that. But for now, we still have a couple of management services office employees using the building. If you go by there, you might see from time to time, there's 2 or 3 cars up there. So we have some of our IT folks that are still using that building. But I think, we're gonna have to make some decisions pretty quick on what we're gonna do with that building, because we don't want to just sit up there empty. So, I bet within the next month or 2, we'll have a pretty clear direction about which way we're going. So once I know that, I'll let you know. But for now, Shepherd's Way is gonna stay here. Things are gonna remain the same. As a matter of fact, I'm just being fully transparent. I already talked to them about signing a new agreement with us for another 3 years, and so we're gonna extend them for another 3 years here at River Landing. And one of the things I was really not so happy about was I was worried that we were gonna lose some of that interaction between the kids and us. And so we're not gonna have that. We're not gonna have to worry about that now, because they're gonna stay here. So I just gotta slow them down going around the campus, I think, as well as some of you all and some of us all. We all have a little bit of a tendency, I think, to go a little fast around the community. So I see it more about 5 minutes to 6 at night, because the daycare closes at 6 o'clock. And so that's when I see it. We probably ought to put our security team out there at 5 to 6. We probably could catch a lot of people going around fast. Maybe I can get Blair to go out there and do it, right, Blair? Bring back the old days, right, Blair? So we can get you to kind of help us with that. So, but anyway, we'll have more about that as we go along. But I wanted to share that with you. That's really very fresh news that just happened, that we found out about that.
Okay, how many of you went to the car show?
Woohoo!
Almost the whole room. It was our best one ever. I think most of you would probably say that as well if you've been to any before. Definitely, wouldn't we say our biggest? For
There's
sure.
no question it was our biggest one ever, for
Yes.
sure. Yeah, we think we had to turn cars away. Some of you probably heard that. We just filled up. They were coming in. They started at, I think I heard 7:30 in the morning. It was a 10 o'clock show, and we had 7:30. We started having people coming in, and they never really stopped coming until 10 o'clock or even a little
Right,
after.
even after, yes.
And so
Yeah.
we think between the cars that we had, the ones that came to the show and parked on the street and came down for the show but didn't show their car, and those that actually just turned and left, that we had well over 300 classic cars here.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
and about 2,500 people is our best guess. It's a little hard to guess exactly how many folks were here, but boy, during the heart of it, if you were walking outside, which I think a lot of you were, it was great to see just so many
it was
people
neat to
having
see.
such a great
Yes.
time and
Yes.
enjoying our campus. And just some of the comments I was getting from the car drivers and from the guests that were here about what a great place this was. I had one car driver that, one of the guys that brought one of his cars in, he said, this is the first time I've been here. And he goes, I've already called 11 people that have cars and said, you need to get over here right away. This is an amazing place. And so it's pretty neat. I've had a lot of car owners tell me that they think that we're the biggest, next to maybe Pilot Mountain, that we are the biggest car show now that anywhere in this area. And then a lot of car drivers were telling me they liked it so much because we had such a great variety of cars. It wasn't just 1 or 2 car clubs that kind of specialize in one car. We had, a lot of variety. So if you see Kevin Essick tell him that next year you want him to bring his tractor, his classic tractor for the show. He was kidding me about that. And I said, you should bring it. I think people would be interested in seeing a classic tractor. And so he's like, I'm not bringing that thing over here. So you can ask him about it when you see him. So.
And thank you to all the volunteers that
Oh my
made
gosh.
it happen.
Yeah,
So
if we didn't have all the volunteers, it never would
It
have
takes a
worked
lot
out.
of us, yes, to make it go.
Yeah, that was a funny story. So, we ran out of hot dogs. For those of you that were like in the last group of about 50 or 75 of you that were getting hot dogs, you got our jumbo hot dogs because that's all we had left. We were running over to the healthcare and everything to grab hot
Pulled
dogs
from every
anywhere that
venue.
we could.
Yes.
I think some of you don't notice, but we even raided some of your refrigerators out of the hot dogs that were in your refrigerators. And so, but it was quite amazing that we ran out of all those hot dogs.
Yes.
And there's a debate about how many hot dogs we had. James claims it's one. Joseph says it's another. So, I don't know how many, but it was somewhere around 1,500 to 1,700 hot dogs that we had that went. And
Yeah,
so
at least, I
it-
say at
I
least
think it was
that.
at least that. So, because they weren't even keeping track.
They
when were
weren't,
going
after a
through
while, it was.
all the ones from all the rest of the places at. So.
Car show, or organizes it for River Landing?
So the question is, who organizes it? And so, it comes under a marketing program or marketing event. So Betsy, Martha, and Michaela pretty much kind of oversee it. But, honestly, it's so big that it's really a leadership team event. We have to have all of our folks in it and residents. And, you probably, if you went out of the community, you saw we even have hired a couple High Point police officers off duty to come and help us with the traffic flow and everything, because there's just so many folks coming in and out. And I actually like the police presence at the front. I think it helps to keep some of the folks out that maybe, shouldn't be here to begin with. So, but it's a big event. Martha does the yeoman's work as far as getting to the car clubs themselves. She'll do that for a couple months before the event and actually go and hand out flyers. But I've got so many people that said they know it's the second Saturday of May every year, and they mark it on their calendars and they come. And then they come early because they all want the primo spots here right by the water here. And, I don't know how many of you saw, but even after the show was over, we had several cars that just sat here and they had their chairs out and they were just having a good old time, just sitting there. I just think that's so neat. As a community, I think that's so cool that we have this event. And to seeing it now, because I was here the first time we had one where we had 12 whole cars here the first time that we had it. And to see it grow from there has just been really fun to watch.
And it was in the front parking lot, right?
Front parking lot, yeah. For those of you that
So-
weren't here, it was front parking lot. This was not my idea. This came from one of our nurses in Muirfield. Her husband had a car, and she said, Tom, she goes, I think River Landing needs a car show. And I went, that's a really cool idea. Let's try it. Can you help me get it started? And she helped us get it started. And
Wow.
who would have guessed,
Wow.
right?
Amazing.
300 plus cars
Amazing.
later and 2,500 people later. It's great.
Yep.
And no accidents. Nobody fell that I know of. It's always good, right? When we get through an event like that and not have any issues, it's really good.
Absolutely.
No golf balls hitting cars. That was really
No.
good. We had that happen one year. I'm really digressing. We had that happen one year. One of the classic cars got hit by a golf ball, and I was like, oh no. And the guy that owns the car reminds me of that every year when he brings it back. And I said, I'm so sorry about that happened. Every year I got to say the same thing to him, and it's kind of funny. He goes, it wasn't that big a deal. He goes, I really wasn't a problem at all. I was like, okay, well then stop
Then
bringing
quit
it up.
talking about
Stop
it.
talking about it. No, it's really great. I think it's so much fun to have the folks come.
Absolutely. Okay, ministers' luncheons. Who brought their ministers this week?
Yay!
Very good, very good. So we
Who didn't want
had,
to bring their ministers here because they didn't want them to know where you live? How many? Nope. Nobody.
so we had 196 people attend and 22 churches represented. So that's very good.
That's
very
awesome.
good.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
That's awesome.
Okay, next update, Tom. Sandy Ridge Road.
Oh, Sandy Ridge Road. So I don't know a whole lot more than what I told you 2 months ago. I think I mentioned to you, I've got a contact now that I've been talking to about every 3 or 4 months. I've been trying to call them to find out what's going on. For the next meeting, I'll try and call them again and find out. But if you've been driving along Sandy Ridge Road, you probably have seen Duke Energy is out there big time putting up poles and changing things around. So it's coming. just as a reminder, there was a concern, I was concerned that maybe the funding would get pulled for the road expansion because of what the needs were in western North Carolina. And so from what I have heard, that none of the funds were taken out of this project. So we'll see. They talked about the fact that this summer they thought they were going to be hiring a contractor to do the work, and that there's a possibility that it could start sometime by the end of next year. My thought would be if they really get that far, it probably would be more the beginning of the year, of next year, which would be 2026. But you know what? They told me the same thing a year ago when I talked to them, so I just don't know. And I don't think we're going to know until they actually, once they hire a contractor, I think then we can say things look like they're going to be moving in a direction where they're really going to start. But until they hire a contractor, I just don't see it happening. But we'll see. As soon as I say it's not going to happen, you know what's going to happen, right? It's going to come through. So, but it'll be good. You know, for all of you that don't know anything about the road, they're going to be making a 4-lane road up near the farmers market. They'll have 2 turning lanes turning into the farmers market coming off of 40. So a lot of that's much needed. There's going to be median in between. We will have a light where the guardhouse is. There'll be a light there. They're going to straighten out Kendale and bring it up to kind of meet with our front entrance, and they'll have a light right there, which I actually think that's going to be the best part of that for us, because it scares me to death to think about staff, residents, and visitors turning left out of our property. You know, as you all know, we had a fatality many years ago with a staff member who got T-boned out there, which is part of the reason we got the speed limit reduced. But you know, there's going to be 8 lights on, and you know, we've already got 2 now. There'll be another 6 lights added to Sandy Ridge Road when they finish up the project. So we'll see. We keep hearing, last I heard they were going to, you know, at first I thought they were going to start up by the farmers market and work their way down to us. Now they're telling us they're actually going to start down where, what's the road that's down at the end of our road here? Would you
Ski
go down,
Club?
Johnson? What's that?
Ski Club?
Ski Club, thank you, Ski Club. They're going to start from Ski Club and work their way up is what we're hearing. So I'll try and verify all that again with my phone call to this guy and just see what we can come up with. But you know, we'll see. Yeah.
Very good. Okay, reverse raffle. Who attended reverse raffle?
Yay!
Once again, a lot of people. So thank you for supporting that event. We raised over $8,000, which goes toward our meal packaging event. So that is a great fundraiser for us. Next fundraiser coming up will be in August. That's our silent auction. So
We're
that's
not
a
going to mention it
big.
again because it's silent, okay? So
Watch your mailbox for more information in the next few weeks. We'll be getting that information out. And then, of course, the next meal packaging event is at the end of September. So we're rolling right along here to get toward that.
we are. That's correct.
Okay, have some wellness department updates. So great news, Courtney's returning June 11th. Woohoo!
Yay!
Very excited.
I think Lisa's going to do the
Very
Toyota
excited.
jump when she sees Courtney come back in the building for the first
Very
time.
glad for her coming back. And it was
Yes.
great to see her at the reverse raffle too.
Yes.
So,
She's doing well. And I love giving her a hard time about her husband, about him. You know, he is so young looking. I don't know how many of you have seen
he
Alex.
does
but
have a baby face.
Yeah,
So.
so I like giving her a hard time about that. So
We also have some other changes in wellness. So our wellness assistant in the workout area, Natricia, she is no longer with us. So we are advertising for replacement. We've already gotten some good applications, but you all know it's a process when you hire somebody. So we're just starting that process now. For the next few weeks, to help us out, Armando is going to come down to the desk and be there on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays from 9 to 11. That's really our heaviest time down there. And he's going to be available to help people with machines, any wellness questions. So we will post that on CareMerge, but you're the first group to hear that. So we will get that out on CareMerge. So going through a little transition there.
yeah.
Yep.
And, you know, the timing might be good because we've got this, with schools kind of being out.
Yes.
There's
Yes.
a lot of new.
There's a lot of
majors.
interest in that position from recent graduates with different wellness degrees. So it's good timing to be looking for somebody. So
Yeah.
feeling very optimistic. We will find a good person.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Okay, dining updates. So just want to remind folks, the clubhouse is closed Friday evening and all day Saturday. We have a group that's renting it out for a wedding here, so there will be extra people on campus, so that's why I thought it'd be good to share with you all if you see some extra folks. But that clubhouse is a good space for a smaller size wedding.
Yeah, I think the folks that are renting it out are a relative of one of our.
Connected to one of our staff members. Yep. And also the next theme in the Wayfair restaurant, it is going to be past menu favorites from our other restaurants, the Italian, the German, the Asian. We're bringing back all the top sellers from the different restaurants. So it'll be kind of like your favorites that come back to there. So we'll have that running through the summer months. And I believe June is when that's going to be opening up with that menu. And that should be great.
But if you want a German item, you have to say it in German. If you want an Italian item, you have to say it in Italian. And isn't that right? I mean, we're going to try and really make it fun, right?
Yep, we're going to try. We're going to try.
Lisa, you're not going with me on
I
this.
know,
You're,
I know,
You're really,
I know.
You're supposed to be my Ed McMahon here,
I
trying to help me
know,
out.
I know.
Here.
I didn't know what else to say.
Okay, all right.
Okay, other updates. As a reminder, Curana Clinic is open on Saturdays from 8 to noon for urgent care visits, so don't forget that. That's a good service to have here. Technology Concierge, new updated summer hours are out. The book is upstairs to sign for appointments. Mondays, 2:45 through 6:45, and Fridays, 9 a.m. to 5, so all day on Fridays. And appointments, just as a reminder, limited to 2 per week, so we want to spread those out among everybody.
Is that 2 days per week?
No,
or-
2 appointments.
Oh, 2 appointments.
2 appointments per
Okay,
week.
I'm sure what you're saying. And that's Hayden that's doing that,
It is, it is. She's doing a
Yeah.
great job. She's been booked up all week. Couple appointments still left Friday afternoon, but otherwise booked for the week.
Super.
On Monday, Memorial Day program, just to remind folks of that, that'll be 2 p.m. here in the multipurpose room and on 1390. And we have our very own residents that are going to be doing the program
Oh, super.
and playing some beautiful music and singing and all that good stuff. So please support that. Tuesday, the 27th, we have the CNA graduation. That's at 11 a.m. here in the multipurpose room. If you've not attended one of those events, it's very special to see.
Yeah.
And to help support our CNA program here as we train folks to be new CNAs. So,
Speaking of the CNA program, Friends Homes is very interested in what we're doing, and so we've been having some meetings with Friends Homes to maybe either kind of help them start a program or maybe do some of our program over there so that they could be a part of that and start learning how to do that. There's a need over there for
Absolutely.
CNAs, and so
Yep.
I think it would be great for them to be able to do that. So we're trying to help out a sister community with doing that. So.
Friday, June 6th, the annual Appeal Golf Tournament, that's coming up too. And let's see, another reminder, Father's Day pics are needed for the Donuts for Dad event in June. Submit a photo of you and your dad or dads with their children to Hayden by June 6th. So we're looking for pictures. Wednesday, June 18th, gift shop fashion show and jewelry sale at 1 p.m. here in the multipurpose room. So that's a good event to support as well. I think all of you know the gift shop is all run by volunteers that live here, and all the proceeds go back into the community. So everything that they sell, make any money on, it's all put right back into the community. So great thing here. Tee signs. If you're a golfer, you probably have seen this already. We have new tee signs out on the golf course for each hole. And also, I had talked several months ago, new street signs will be coming very soon as well. So those are in production and hopefully will be out here soon. A lot of our signs have gotten a little bit,
Yeah, they're peeling.
Over time.
Some of the letters on there are peeling. You might have seen that. and
yeah, so that's,
It won't be too much longer. You won't be able to read anything off
yeah,
those.
so that's coming as well, very soon.
The T markers look really nice. If you haven't seen them, they're black signs and they look very professional.
We'll put a picture out on Cameridge too, so folks that aren't
Yeah, let's
golfers.
do that 'cause they look
yeah.
they look very nice.
Yep.
They present a real nice professional image for our golf course and for our golfers. So
Absolutely. Okay, trivia. So the question was, Raleigh, North Carolina was the birthplace for what 17th President of the United States? Audience?
who wants to guess?
Andrew Johnson, yes. And the winner today is Lou Witt in TV Land.
Good.
So congratulations. We'll make sure you get that bottle of wine. Right, Tom?
Right,
Okay.
right. Or most of it.
Most of it? Okay. Oh.
I think I missed some of those announcements. You think you could go over them again real quick?
Sure.
That's a lot of
There's a
announcements.
lot of announcements.
It's a lot of announcements.
Oh.
You know, Churn Show Day is always kind of fun because I get to see Lisa really stressed for about 3 or 4 hours in the morning as she's, you know, trying to come up. She does all the agenda, by the way. She does an amazing job with this to get it. You know, if it was up to me to be able to put the agenda together, I'd be sitting here with like little sticky notes, you know, just kind of all over the place going, okay, yeah, I need to talk about this, I need to talk about that.
And I
She's
just
the one
can't
that
work like that.
She's the one that puts it all together so that you all have like really good, concise information.
We just don't want to
right?
forget anything.
Well, I know, right?
But I probably have.
Well, we
it was a
probably have.
lot.
We always feel like we missed something.
know,
that we should
I
be talking
know.
About. But
Yep. Think back to the days we were doing this every day.
yeah, COVID.
We did that for a while. Yes,
It's hard to believe we've been doing this for more than 5 years.
we have.
now,
We have.
So,
Yes.
yeah.
Yep.
And you know, we still get people to come. That is the amazing
We
part
do.
to me is that we still get people.
I
to
think
come.
they came for the Bird Award, to be honest.
Oh, is that what it was? Okay.
I think that's what maybe happened today.
Okay. Well, it wasn't for Shepherd's Way. We know that. I already asked that question. So.
It was not. You're right.
No, it wasn't for Shepherd's Way. You know, we don't tell you all this enough. I think that we have an amazing community here. The residents here are absolutely amazing. If you could see and hear some of the things that I hear about when I go to these conventions and talk to other people about their communities or the problems they're having in their communities or the drama they have in their communities, and I sit there and go, you know, I'm really sorry to hear that. And, you know, I sit there and go, we just don't really have that kind of problem here at River Landing, and I hope we never do. But, you know, we really do. We have an amazing group of residents who just really care about each other. And, you know, there's a real, in my opinion, a real love affair between the residents and the staff. And
Absolutely.
together we make an amazing family here. I hope you all agree with that and feel that way. And if you don't, you need to come see me. But, you know, it is a really special place, y'all. And, you know, I've always said this, I just believe that God made this place special for the residents and staff that work here. And, you know, as long as we put our faith in Him and let this be His community first, we don't have to worry about River Landing. And so He's proven that to me for the last 22 and a half years that I've been here. So, so thank you. Thank you for choosing River Landing as your home. Thank you for helping us build an amazing culture here. And thank you for giving us all those dollars that you give us so that we can operate the community. I'm kidding. The dollars are very important, of course, but that's not really the most important part. The important part is having you come in and enjoy your life here at River Landing. So thank you all so much for doing that. We love you all very much.
It all starts at the top.
It all starts at the top. There you go, right here. So, but thank you, John. I appreciate that. And we do. We really love you all very much. We hope you all have a great day and a great week and start to enjoy some of this. I think we're going to get some cooler weather coming in. I think it's back into the 70s, right? You know,
I like
for a while there, I
70s.
thought we were going to hit summer already last
Yes,
week, and now
yes.
we're going back into the 70s. So this will be great. We'll go out, we'll get colds again because it's going to get colder, and then we're going to come back to hotter weather, and you know, it goes back and forth. But we love you all very much. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next month.